keep breaking promises to yourself. Not big ones, small ones. I'll wake up early. You don't. I'll start Monday. Monday comes, Monday goes. I'll stop after this one. You never stop after just one. And here's the truth nobody tells you. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you don't just lose a habit. You lose a little bit of trust in yourself. And that trust is the one thing you cannot live without. Because if you can't trust yourself, who can you trust? Tonight, you're going to learn why discipline was never about rules. It was never about punishment. It was never about being hard on yourself. Discipline is something else completely, something deeper, something almost nobody explains correctly. By the end of this video, you will never see discipline the same way again. Stay with me. This one matters. Let's talk about what's really going on inside you. You set an alarm for 6 a.m., you turn it off. You say you'll go to the gym, you lie on the couch instead. You promise yourself you'll open that book, you open your phone instead. And after it happens enough times, something quiet starts to happen inside you. You stop believing your own words. You say, I will, but a part of you already whispers, no, you won't. This is the real damage. It's not the missed workout. It's not the missed deadline. It's the slow erosion of self-trust. You start speaking to yourself the way you'd never let anyone else speak to you. I'm lazy. I always give up. I'll never change. And the scary part, you start believing it. Because every broken promise becomes evidence. Evidence for a story you didn't even choose to write. Does this sound familiar? If it does, you're not broken. You're not weak. You're just fighting the wrong battle. And in a moment, I'll show you what the real battle actually is. Here's something most people never realize. Discipline isn't about willpower. Willpower runs out. It's like a phone battery. It drains by the afternoon. That's why you can resist junk food at 9 a.m., but by 9 p.m., you're eating the whole bag. That's not a character flaw. That's biology. So if discipline isn't willpower, what is it? Think about someone you deeply respect, maybe a parent, a mentor, someone steady. Now ask yourself, do they seem like they're constantly forcing themselves? Or do they seem like people who simply follow through? That's the secret. Discipline isn't force. Discipline is identity. People with strong discipline don't fight themselves every single day. They've simply decided who they are. And once you decide who you are, your actions stop being a battle. They become natural. Imagine a person who sees themselves as lazy. Every action they take will try to match that identity. Now imagine a person who sees themselves as reliable. Every action they take will try to match that identity too. You are not broken. You've just been building the wrong identity, one broken promise at a time. But identities can be rebuilt. And that rebuilding starts with one idea most people never connect to discipline at all: self-respect. Here's where everything shifts. What if discipline was never about productivity? What if it was never about being successful? What if discipline was simply self-respect in action? Think about it. When you say you'll do something and you do it, even something small, you send yourself a message. I keep my word. I am someone I can rely on. When you say you'll do something and you don't, you send a different message. My word doesn't matter. I don't take myself seriously. Which message do you send yourself most days? Be honest. This is not about guilt. This is about awareness. Because once you see discipline as self-respect, everything changes. You stop asking, how do I force myself to work out? You start asking, do I respect myself enough to keep this promise? You stop asking, how do I stop wasting time? You start asking, do I value my own time? This single shift in thinking is more powerful than 100 productivity hacks. Because you can't hack your way into self-respect. You have to build it, one kept promise at a time. And building it doesn't require perfection. It requires something much simpler. Let me show you. Now think about this. If discipline is self-respect, then every small action becomes a vote for who you are becoming. Not a test, not a punishment, a vote. Here's the first principle. Start smaller than you think you need to. Most people fail discipline because they aim too big too fast. They try to wake up at 5 a.m. after months of waking at 9. They try to work out for an hour after months of no movement. It feels impossible, so they quit in 3 days. Instead, make the promise so small you can't say no. 1 page of reading, 5 minutes of movement, 1 glass of water before coffee. Small promises kept build big trust over time. Here's the second principle. Focus on the action, not the outcome. You don't need to lose 20 pounds this week. You just need to show up today. Outcomes take time. Actions are immediate. When you focus only on results, you burn out waiting for them. When you focus on today's action, you build a rhythm that lasts. Here's the third principle. Treat broken promises as information, not identity. You will miss days. Everyone does. The difference between people who succeed and people who quit isn't perfection. It's what they tell themselves after they slip. One person says, "I knew I'd fail. I always do." Another person says, "I missed today. Tomorrow I show up again." Same mistake, 2 completely different futures. Which voice do you want guiding your life? Now imagine this. Imagine 2 versions of you 5 years from now. One version kept breaking small promises to himself, skipped the gym, skipped the reading, skipped the early mornings. Not because he's a bad person, just because it felt easier in the moment. 5 years later, he's still saying, "I'll start Monday." Now imagine the other version. He wasn't perfect either. He missed days, he had bad weeks, but he kept coming back. He built one small kept promise on top of another. Slowly, quietly, he became someone different. Not because he's more talented, not because he had more time, because he respected himself enough to keep showing up. Here's the question that matters. Which version are you feeding right now, today, in this exact moment? Because you are always feeding one of them. There is no neutral. Every choice either builds trust or breaks it. Let's go deeper into what this really means for who you are becoming. Discipline isn't something you do, it's something you become. You don't have discipline like an object you either own or don't. You become a disciplined person the same way you become anything else. Repetition, identity, evidence. So stop asking, how do I get more discipline? Start asking, who is the person I'm becoming with this choice? Become someone who keeps his word, even when no one's watching. Become someone who finishes what he starts, even when it's boring. Become someone who chooses long-term respect over short-term comfort. This isn't about becoming a machine. It's about becoming someone you're proud to look at in the mirror. Someone whose word means something. Someone who doesn't need motivation, because motivation was never reliable anyway. Identity is reliable. Motivation is not. And once your identity shifts, discipline stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like who you are. Let's go back to where we started. You keep breaking promises to yourself. That was the problem. But now you know the truth. Discipline was never about punishment. It was never about forcing yourself through willpower that runs out by noon. Discipline is self-respect. It's the quiet decision made over and over to keep your word to yourself. Not perfectly, not every single day, but consistently enough that you start to trust your own voice again. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. Pick one small promise, something so small you can't fail, and keep it. Because that one kept promise is a vote. A vote for the person you're becoming. And every vote after that makes the next one easier. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You have just been waiting for someone to tell you the truth. Discipline was never about being harder on yourself. It was about respecting yourself enough to finally keep your word. So the next time you're standing at that small decision, get up or stay down, start or wait, keep your word or break it again. Remember this. That moment isn't small. That moment is you deciding who you are. Choose the version of yourself you can respect. Because in the end, discipline was never the goal. Self-respect was.